Right, we're going to switch gears here and turn to some turkeys. Iowa's spring turkey hunting season officially closed this past Sunday. And this year, hunters reported a record-breaking 16,000 total turkeys. Earlier, we sat down with Iowa DNR to find out what's causing the uptick and the way that cicadas impact Iowa's wild turkey populations.
We're joined now by Jim Coffey, a forest wildlife biologist with Iowa DNR. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, record-breaking year. Where are Iowa's turkeys even found?
So we're fortunate in Iowa. We have turkeys in all 99 counties, but being highly associated with forest habitats, that's mostly the eastern third of the state. So everything basically east of Iowa City would be our preferred Iowa wild turkey habitat, and then southern Iowa as well.
So what you're saying is Channel 8 country is also turkey country.
It's turkey country. There you go. That's your new tagline for the station.
I'll pass that up the chain.
Mhm.
How have Iowa turkey hatches been going over the last few years?
So we monitor that every year through programs that we do internally, and then externally with just volunteers. We look at how many poults young turkeys are produced in July and August. And the last 3 years have been above average hatches, above the 5-year average. And that's probably due to drought conditions. Most ground nesting birds, which what turkeys are, do better in drought or drier years than they do in wet years. So we'll see that hatch continue from last year, which was good. We'll see those turkeys obviously in next year's population as well.
And so do you think that's why this was a record-breaking year? There's just more turkeys available?
Yeah, our hunters respond to that. So when there's turkeys on the landscape, we tend to see more hunters, which we did have a record number of hunters by licenses this year as well. And then we also look at the percentages of successful hunters or hunters that put tags on birds, and that percentage went up as well too. So that's very indicative that there were a lot more turkeys on the landscape.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask you about that percentage because I want to make sure I'm getting the numbers right. The
Yeah.
DNR reported hunters purchased more than 56,600 spring turkey tags across all
Mhm.
seasons in 2024. If you compare that, almost 57,000 with 16,000 turkeys actually reported, that seems like a lot of unfulfilled tags. Is that the normal gap that you see like with deer or geese or other things?
Well, it really depends on the species. And what we try to emphasize with the DNR is your tag is your opportunity to harvest a bird. It's not the guarantee to harvest a bird. And so if you do the math on that, we actually had about a 28% success rate this year. And that's above average. It's usually in the 22 to 23%. So we actually had more success this year because more turkeys on the landscape.
I was going to ask you about cicadas. You were bringing up before. I thought cicadas would be good because they would be more food for the turkeys to eat. But you're
Mhm.
saying they're still good for the turkeys, but for a different reason.
Especially this cicada. So the periodic cicada that we're seeing now, which is the 13 and the 17-year cicada, is a spring hatch cicada versus the dog day cicada, which is the annual cicada that comes out in the fall. So the bugs are always good for turkeys. They love to eat bugs high in protein, but we also remember that a lot of predators will eat those bugs as well. And if the predators like raccoons and skunks and foxes are full from eating cicadas, they're not actively searching out turkey nests. So that actually makes our nests more successful. And therefore we should see a little bit of a bump in turkey production again next year because of the cicada. As long as our weather holds out, we don't get too much rain at the wrong time of the year.
Well, that's my last question for you. I know you're not a fortune teller. You can't see the future, but
Mhm.
it's been so far a wetter year than the last
Mhm.
few drought years with the
Yeah.
cicadas. I mean, how does it all shake out? Do you foresee 2025 being another record-breaking year?
So if I get my magic 8 ball out, I would easily predict it'll be an average year because that's me just hedging my bets. Because of what you just said, we're going to have a little bit of an uptick because of cicadas, but we don't know what the spring weather, that water will do, that rainfall will do, which is bad for turkeys. So right now we'll just say it's going to be an average year. But we have to remember the turkeys that hunters will see next year were actually born last year in 2023. So those 2-year-old birds are the ones that the turkey hunters are really pursuing. And so next year should be a pretty good year for turkey hunters just because of the hatch from 2 years ago. A lot of Illinois hunters. Illinois had a record harvest this year as well, and so did Missouri. So the whole upper Midwest saw the same phenomenon of good turkey numbers the last few years.
All right. Well, we'll mark our calendars for 2026.
Yeah.
Jim, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I was glad to be with you.
And if you want to share this story, we have the article up on our website underneath the As Seen on TV tab.